formed out of clay just as you are.
Yeah. I believe that we need to look more inside ourselves as individuals, and particularly as creatives. I usually direct most of my work towards the creative people because that's just the people I tend to be around. So.
They're weird people, aren't they? We're all weird, and
I love it.
I think we end up having to isolate ourselves at some fundamental level if it goes away, in order to remain authentic to what we're doing.
Absolutely.
It's the other side of life, you know. I say there's the order and the chaos, and the chaos is unpopular and demonised. It's characterised as, well, we have this term as mysticism. That's on the chaotic branch of religion, isn't it? I'm reminded that I forgot to I was going somewhere with a conversation and I deviated, as I often do. Just keep me on track. So
we're basically talking about where you want your music to head into now. Where do you want the direction of your music? What place? What position? Where do you see yourself going or taking it?
Do you mean that sonically, as
where
genre-wise?
Because I mean, it's hard to label where
you're
going to be, because that's different.
Philosophically, that's an old, narratively and whatnot. So sonically, Without a Line EP is a great example of the introspection, because literally we have put the mics inwards. We had mics inside the lid of the piano. It was that intimate. And it was, again, we were in, his name is Richard Burke, and he's a very good composer and arranger as well. Yeah, when we recorded that, we wanted to capture all those mechanical sounds of the piano. You know, that felt piano is becoming quite a popular thing. Oliver Arnold's, I think even Max Richter, because it's like being able to hear the motions and the placement of the fingers in such detail.
Yeah. As opposed to just
that now, because I can hear all that, I hear the intention and the movements of the man sitting
and that is a sound in itself, is it not?
And that's information for us to digest when you listen back to those recordings.
Yeah. Does that change or alter how you would compose music? Like, for example, if you hear a specific sound on a note,
absolutely,
would you be like,
because there's just a general abundance of information now with every note. There's so much more audible intention behind
much more layers to
it's a layered, textured sound. And so those compositions are stripped back compared to the sort of grandiose, ambitious things I was doing before. Their ambition is now one that's much more a philosophical ambition.
Fantastic. So more meaningful, more.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to convey the images in my mind through music, and just like, well, there's like two layers of translation there. So what it's like corrupted by the time someone else starts imagining it at some level. But I'm just glad that I can offer that meagre substitute. If that's all I can do in this world, then so be it. So the first album was called Note My Dream, and I was 15 when it was finally completed. The earliest composition on that was written at the age of 8, and the final one was written when I was 15. So there's 8 years life enclosed in that one album, really. It's kind of, the new pieces and the old pieces are kind of scattered. There isn't like a chronological development across that album. I don't even know the track list. It's like it's all over the place. I think it starts with Joshua Reilly or something, which is and that's why it's such a disparate melody. It's like, what the hell is going on with these intervals? Where do you get intervals like this from? That's why it's such a strange and memorable melody, because I'm using all the kind of forbidden notes of the scale. Because I was like, this is literally, the reason for that is because I thought I was playing the randomest melody you can play in the key of D flat.
But in theory.
And it came out as the most beautiful melody in the opinions of many that I've ever written.
In a sense, you are actively trying to be aware, consciously aware and subconsciously aware.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the idea of individuation. It's a long path, which I don't even believe I have started. Yeah. Let's hear some music.
Yeah, please. I'd love to.
Let's hear this piece.
Let us know what your upcoming or future projects are. That would be dope. So people kind of get a gauge.
This is a project then. to talk about. The new. I'm in the middle of. I finished writing and I'm about to start recording a new EP, which I believe is going to consist of 4 tracks. Each one is what I call a nocturne. They depict something nocturnal, and that kind of, it's from that word, and then again everything's from Latin. Often it's like noctu means at night, so they're nocturnal in the sense that a lot of these are like a lot of the stimuli and a lot of the meditation that kind of birthed these pieces happened like after midnight, frankly, you know, or at least certainly after 9 o'clock, after the watershed. Wow. So this is the 4th. This is the closer.
Okay.
The 4th nocturne is called "Asleep in the Abundance of Peace."
How long did it take you to write this?
Nothing really. About I'd say I had all of the ideas within 3 hours.
Okay.
I'd probably finished the whole thing within the day.
Wow. Yeah, because you did say that when you
if anything worthwhile, you know, well, if it's God speaking and God's the one doing all the thinking here, really, He's just giving me the peace out of gratitude. I can't be grateful enough. So yeah, he doesn't need time to come up with this.
No,
3 hours is enough for him.
Cool.
The fact it takes 3 hours is I'm the one slowing him down.
It's
so that he can get his points across to me.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? It's to compensate for my own incompetence and inadequacy.
Yeah.
But this piece is about rebirth, though.
Okay.
It's kind of like what it's like to be thrown in the waters of baptism, basically. It's like the living water that Jesus said, "I'll give you the living water, and no one will ever be athirst again if they drink this." Do you see this little picture up here? I know they can't see it. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, send it to me and I'll put it in.
It's from the video game Eco by Fumito Ueda.
I see the Sony sign.
And
that's PlayStation.
Okay, yeah, it came out on the PS2 in 2001. That's right.
Cool.
It's my favourite game of all time. That's why I framed it and put it up there.
It's really good.
Where I can't not see it.
I like that.
Because they're like at the end of the game, there's a theory that you see the boy Eco and the girl Yorda die and get crushed in the castle, which collapses on top of them, basically. And the boy Eco is basically sent away, literally on a boat, kind of like Moses down the river, you know. And he reaches this shore, which was once inaccessible. Like, this is where my narrative mind really starts to open up, and I start to get this almost tingling sensation from how meaningful things can be. Like, the story is just, I can't believe he came up with this in like 1995. Ueda had this story in his mind, and so we wanted to do it on the PS1 originally, but it didn't have the hardware capability. Yeah, so before, you're trapped in the castle and you're under the corrupt authority of the queen.
Okay.
And then the castle itself literally collapses. You know, the keep itself collapses, and that authority ceases to live. And at that moment, you cease to be in bondage to anyone.
I get you.
listen to that. It's
That's,
extremely challenging for me to listen to that and to have all that flood to me at once.
that's amazing, man.
Okay, I
Genuinely.
lived.
That's amazing.
There's just so much tape below in that piano, isn't there?
That-
I love a good tape below.
I'll tell you, like.
I need to think about the earthly things after that.
But
you
you
know?
can hear what you.
But you know
were
what? This
talking
is
about.
this is really like the organ starts coming in. You know that because I thought, well, this if I'm going to be assimilated into heaven or into the playroom or I have this kind of henosis with God when the child returns to the father. There's nothing. Well, I guess there's just no other image or sound left to use apart from the cathedral organ to symbolise that, really. And so that was just there, like
Symbolic.
hovering energetically, wavering in the music.
That's amazing. You can hear it. And you can feel it. In the interest of time,
In the interest of time.
It's genuinely been awe-inspiring. It's been fantastic to hear genuinely. And we talk about genuine, it's a very loosely termed word, but you can hear that there are layers and depth to who you are as an individual and who you are as a musician, as an artist, as a person. So
To us all. To us all.
Yeah. And I mean, thank you for, like I said, bringing me into your home space, and it's a very personal space for you. And
I don't let anyone in here. You are standing on sacred ground. And so this became that place. And it's not the most beautiful because it looks like a lifeless designer kitchen where you walk in and everything's, no one lives here. It's abandoned, but and everything's pristine clean for that reason. Like, no, this is a place where people live, and within that confine, this I feel is the most beautiful place I can create.
amazing.
I've placed things all. I've just the number of times I've completely torn this place down and said I'm going to put everything in different places
Switch it all
before
up.
I'm currently happy with this arrangement. But I'm always following after something that is above me and something that has power beyond myself and value beyond myself, value beyond the grave, basically.
That's insane.
We can all immortalise ourselves. I mentioned Donny Hathaway. I mean, when he was in the studio and they play, and he heard the final mix of "Someday We'll All Be Free," and he literally cried in the studio. It's such a great thing that even we as artists can be flawed by our own creations and say, throw that on the floor. I did not make that. God did that. That's like the tabernacle. I don't even want to touch it. That's what it feels like to be a musician, really. To be in that world. And so it's I think music for me is much more of a spiritual thing than a going through the mechanisms. You know,
I get you. 100%.
it is.
And I mean, that's what I noticed.
Something that can only be
when I speak
lived
to you.
and cannot be put into books, even put into words. You cannot give people instructions for how to be a musician. It's a whole person, almost like a whole sub-personality. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if anybody's out there listening and watching, I hope they've been able to take something from your journey and who you are as an individual. Before we go, I want to make sure people can find you. That's very important.
Good.
How would you like to be put out there? Where would you like to advertise yourself, or where are you currently advertising yourself?
Well, so my full artist name is simply my own name. It's Shane Thomas.
Fantastic.
Okay, that's quite a biblical name. I'm really John Thomas, aren't I? So, yeah, if you just search that up, there's two of us. There's one who makes country music.
Yep,
and he's got some like albums, not very good in my opinion, called like Thrill Billy. It's called, I think.
Okay.
I'm not that Shane Thomas.
Not the country guy.
I'm not the country guy. Somehow, like all the streaming services somehow like keep conflating our work.
It can happen. Especially when you use that
You have to keep,
name.
you have to call PRS up and Spotify up and say this is wrong. You know.
Yeah.
No, don't click that one. I think normally the second. If you go on YouTube, you search my name, Shane Thomas, and that's where you'll find essentially everything I've done.
Amazing.
Really, that I can reasonably share with the world.
Amazing.
This is a demo, actually.
Okay.
We're going to take this to the studio,
Amazing.
and
So I've got a nice
maybe rework it sonically ever so slightly. I don't want to change this one too much, actually.
Yeah.
This is one of the few I'm happy with.
Yeah.
The way it sounds. It's like if that was the final product, I'd be happy. Yeah.
I know what you mean. Well, no.
Still, but
I would love to. At some point
with the
in
help
future.
of people like Richard Birkin, my producer, he'll find a way to elevate it, because he's got his own internalized deity, his own vision of perfection, and he'll take what I lump on his doorstep, and he'll drag it somewhere closer to heaven. It's from his own perspective, right?
Yeah, true. He's added his own thoughts and opinions to it. Yeah, it's important.
There's a negotiation between the two of us, but often we're on the same page. That's why I work with these people. Because to work, you've got the writer and you've got the producer. Often we're two different people, and that relationship is very alchemical.
I feel like we've got a lot more to discuss on another conversation. We'll get to it at some point.
I would love to meet up for a follow-up interview.
Yeah, we have to.
If this is a success with your audience, then and they're hungry for more, you are welcome here anytime.
Thank you very much, bro. I really appreciate that, honestly. And please go and check out Shane Thomas if you get the time, and seriously have a look into the music. Pay attention to what he's actually built, and also now you have a bit of story behind it. It's not just sounds. All
we get to say is thank you, really.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me as a guest.
And thank you for allowing me to come in and share the space, man.
Like I said, you enabled me.
100%. Well, I mean, I'd like to think that it's a collaboration and a partnership.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, people, I hope you guys have enjoyed this in-depth breakdown of who Shane is and also what he's all about. And
hopefully maybe we know a little bit more about who we are, and as a result of this discussion.
Yeah, I hope so.
I like the discussions that advance the understandings of ourselves.
100%, they have to. I mean, we're not really going anywhere, are we? So.
Well, we're going down instead of up.
Yeah, in a sense. But yeah, so after you podcast checking out, please come and check out the next episode and stay tuned with all the upcoming new people that I'm working with. Shane, another incredible person that we've added to the family, and hopefully you get to see him again sometime in the near future.
I'm terrified and enthralled at the fact that you said that.
Well done.
I can't wait for you to be here again. It'll be a very intense time for me once again.
Awesome. Well, thanks again.
Thank you.
And keep doing that good work, man.
I think next time we'll have to go through something a little bit less loaded.